Evening everyone, it's Ian from DIY Home and Gardening, 10th of March, and as you can see it's night. Just thought I'd get a bit more seed sowing done. So what I'm going to do is get some of these big boys going. So sunflower, Mongolian giant, pumpkin, Deal's Atlantic Giant that is, and then pumpkin Big Max, which I grew last year. So yeah, tonight going to do the seed sowing, and that will hopefully be the start of getting some good pumpkins, getting some good good sized sunflowers. So let me set the camera up and talk you through how I'm doing it. Right, so what I'm using this year is these cell trays, which, as you can see, each individual cell is a pretty big size, certainly much bigger than some of the other ones I've been using. And in actual fact, see that large size there, the one that's got my squash in, well, that's the same spec that these are in. So last year what I did was I actually started the seeds in half size seed trays, and they did okay, but they had a tendency to stretch quite early on, and some of that was down to being warmer indoors than it is outside, but also just because they needed a bit more space around the root zone and stability to the stem. So that brings me to these. I thought I would try these larger cells this year and see if it made a difference. Just using multi-purpose compost, and obviously filled the trays, gave it a compress down, and then I've given it a good soak and left it for about half an hour to drain through. I've already written the labels so I don't get mixed up as to which I'm going to sow into which line, and I'm just doing one line for each type, as quite frankly I don't want to be growing loads of pumpkins, and well, I probably won't even keep all 5 if I get them going anyway. So these I grew last year, the Mongolian giants. They did pretty well. Got about 8 feet or so in a pot. This year what I'm thinking is I'm going to try and grow some and plant them into the ground over at the allotment, and hopefully see that I get a better result. As you can see there, you know, claim to get up to 14 foot. So that size we know is doable, but in the ground, not in a container. So that's one lot that I'm going to be sowing, and they'll be going into there. Then I've got the Deal's Atlantic Giant. Now, I haven't grown these before. Honestly, last year was my first year of growing pumpkins, or trying to grow pumpkins, and I did all right. But this variety here currently holds the world record for largest pumpkin, or heaviest pumpkin. So you got to aim big, might as well aim proper big. So again, kind of thought, I've got an allotment, I'm going to give it a go. At this rate though, I think the allotment's going to be filled up twice over. So that's another one I'm doing. And pumpkin Big Max, well, I grew these last year and we did pretty well with them. I only kept 2 plants in the end, got 2 good sized pumpkins from them, which my boys carved for Halloween. And so I know that this is a nice reliable one, plus I've got loads of seed left to use up, so that's also going to be for there. How am I going to sow these? Well, what I'm going to do, again slightly differently, but almost I think as recommended almost. Last year, like I say, I just sowed loads of seeds individually across the trays, or within the trays, and then pricked out the ones that survived. This year, because I'm going to sow straight into these cell trays, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do 2 seeds per cell, and then weed out the weakest ones and get rid of those, and just hopefully hang on to some, certainly in the pumpkins, 5 of each type within the trays to grow on. And sunflowers, I'll probably just, well, if I get 10 plants, I'll keep the 10 plants. But yeah, that's it. So let me get the seed set out, and then I'll show you the next little section. So there you can see I've set out 2s of each type of the pumpkin per cell, and where possible 2s on the sunflowers. I didn't have as many left as I thought. Sunflowers, nice and simple, just push those down like so. So just want to push them down about 1 centimetre into the ground. Now with the pumpkins, what you want to try and do is push them so they're sideways on. I don't really know why, only in as much as that's what they always say to do, and quite frankly they did all right last year. So let's get those done, and same on the others. So let me just push those, and again just sort of push him about 1 centimetre down into the compost. Right, so that's all done, and then just get some fresh compost, or some more compost over the top, like so. So it's nice and level, and we're just filling those holes. And then once I've done that, all I end up doing is using the old squeegee bottle, or just with some water. Let's sort this out properly. Just with some water, and just literally moistening down that surface, give it a bit of a drink, and then that way you know that the dry compost that you put on top is not going to draw the moisture out of the compost below and around the seed. So I give this a little drink and then pop it into one of the propagator units, and essentially that will be that until hopefully they germinate within a week. See you soon. Right, well, we're 27th of March, so 15 days on from seed sowing, and you can see that they're up, they're growing. You can also see that there's some that are far more, well, backwards. They've only just germinated compared to, say, the likes of that is looking nice and chunky, which is really why I've kind of held off doing I suppose the next part of the filming, is because I know that germination on certainly some of these pumpkins and sunflowers can take a while. So don't think that if you've sown your seed and it doesn't come up within 7 days, like, you know, a lot of other vegetables do, that it's a failure, because it isn't, because it can take, you know, a good 2 to 3 weeks. In the past I have had, certainly some of the Big Macs has taken about 3 weeks to germinate. So yeah, don't give up on it. But essentially that's how they're looking. Let me just move this over so we can have a proper look. And again, if you read all the books and other people, then what they say is, you know, you're growing your 2 seeds per cell, and then just cut one down and grow the other one on. That's on the basis that they're a weaker plant, but as you can see here, neither really, and here there's not a great deal of difference between them. And certainly, you know, what would you do with that? Would you keep that one and just get rid of that? No, I can't see the point. So what I tend to do is, at this stage, I'll carefully separate these out, pot them into their individual pots, and it's only really once I get to about the end of April that I'll make that decision on which ones I'm going to get rid of, because I do only want maybe 3 plants of each. You know, I certainly won't want 10 if all 10 do well. I wouldn't even want 5 of a giant. But I'd wait until I get to April, end of April, because they can be a pain, quite frankly. Pumpkins especially, they hate getting too wet and cold, and I have learnt in the past that actually I tend to get more failures when I get to potting on stage with the root disturbance and then kind of trying to nurture them than I do at germination stage. So that's my one tip, is don't go by the books necessarily. Wait until you get closer to the time where you've got established plants and you're thinking about potting, or done your potting, and then make that decision on which are the best ones to move forward with. So for me, end of March pretty much. My next stage now is I'm going to be potting up certainly these Deals Atlantic, and I might do these couple, I don't know. Likewise the sunflowers, I'll probably just put a little stake in those, just hold them upright. But that's it, job done. So guys, thanks for watching the video. A bit more insight I guess this year on last, because quite frankly last year was my first year of trying to grow decent sized pumpkins, having only ever grown, well, smaller varieties and squash and things before. But yeah, you learn something each year, and the discarding and potting and things, that's something that I've learned, and yeah, hopefully you can learn a bit from my experience also. So yeah, thanks for watching the video. Any questions, please send them to me. Do my best to answer them for you. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that reminder button so you don't miss out on the future videos that I'm doing. And yeah, we're pretty much in April, so get going. Let's get things taken up a notch and see how we do. So till next time, mind how you go.